My brother left me and my 6-year-old at the station after taking $800 and lying about the train time. Then my aunt posted a family photo like we were never invited. I canceled every bill. Let them call. I'm done. I'd been dreaming about that train trip for almost a year. Miles talked about it nonstop for the past month, the big windows, the bunk beds, the dining car with pancakes as he called it. It was supposed to be our first real adventure together. Just me and my 6-year-old soaking up the country through glass and steel. My name is Fiona. I'm 38, and I live in Tempe, Arizona. Widowed for almost 4 years now. After Amelia passed, I promised myself that when things stabilized emotionally, financially, I'd take Miles on the kind of trip kids remember forever. So when my brother Neil and our Aunt Rhonda said they wanted in, I figured, why not? Family memories, right? We got to the station 20 minutes early, which I was proud of. With a kid in tow, that's basically a miracle. I remember double-checking the ticket on my phone just to be sure. Only the train was already gone. The woman at the desk looked up from her monitor with a polite but tired expression. Ma'am, the Zephyr Express to Aspen departed at 9:10 a.m. sharp. I blinked. No, it's supposed to leave at 11. She shook her head. That was yesterday's schedule. Today's was updated for early track maintenance. You should have received a text or email if you booked through the group package. My heart dropped into my stomach. I fumbled through my messages, scrolling fast. My last message from Neil said, boarding is at 10:45, train leaves at 11. Be there early so Miles doesn't freak out, LOL. That was from 2 days ago. I checked the train company site. He'd lied. The schedule changed 3 days ago. Departure time moved to 9:10. And they knew. I could feel it. I called Neil. Straight to voicemail. Same with Rhonda. My hands started to shake. Then I saw it. A photo in the family group chat. All smiles. Aunt Rhonda in her giant hiking hat. Neil with his arms slung around his daughter. Snow-covered mountains in the background. No caption. Just the picture. Like we didn't exist. Miles tugged at my coat sleeve. His little hand was sticky from the granola bar I gave him in the car. Mom, are we too late? I knelt down, trying to hide the sting behind my eyes. It looks like the train left early today, buddy. But they knew we were coming, he whispered. I know. His lower lip trembled. He didn't cry, though. Just grabbed my hand and squeezed hard. I stood up, blinking fast. Let's go find some breakfast. Somewhere nice. Okay. He nodded. I walked out of that station with my son, trying to keep my back straight and my head up. But inside, something cracked. It wasn't just that they left us behind. It was that they wanted to. And they didn't even have the decency to hide it. We found a quiet cafe a block from the station. One of those retro spots with dusty velvet booths and faded black and white photos of train conductors on the wall. Miles slid into the booth, still clutching his plush dinosaur, Toby, like it was the only thing holding him together. I ordered us pancakes and eggs, even though I couldn't imagine swallowing anything. My stomach felt like it had flipped inside out. Miles kept glancing toward the window like maybe the train would roll back up just for us. I pulled out my phone and opened the group chat again. That same photo stared back at me. Neil, Rhonda, their kids, all grinning like nothing was missing. Like we were never part of the plan to begin with. I clicked back through the messages, slower this time. Really reading them. A week ago I'd sent, should I confirm the room upgrades? Want to make sure Miles and I are on the same floor. Rhonda had replied, oh, don't stress. We already got it handled, just focus on packing. At the time I'd smiled. I thought they were helping, thought they cared. Now, I saw the gaps, the phrasing, all those times they brushed off details or sent vague confirmations. Neil had offered to handle the train tickets, group rate, easier for the kids, and I'd Venmo'd him nearly $800 without blinking. I scrolled through my payment history. Yup, still there. Train, lodge, shuttle, all good, he texted after I sent the money. I felt sick. Miles stirred his chocolate milk with a straw, eyes down. Did they leave without us cause nobody wanted us there? His voice was so soft I barely caught it, but when I did, it hit me harder than the train ever could have. No, baby, I said quickly. That's not what happened. But it was, wasn't it? I looked at him, his little freckled face, the cowlick that never sat right no matter how much I brushed it. He was too young to know what manipulation looked like, but he could feel it. He could feel the space where people were supposed to care. I forced myself to eat a bite of egg. It tasted like paper. I opened my banking app next. The lodge reservation was on my card, the same reservation I'd made weeks ago with my contact info. But the email confirmation had been changed, transferred. My email removed. Neil's added. I should have caught it. I should have double-checked. But I'd been so damn trusting. So used to putting others first, letting them take over. I thought we were a team. Turns out I was just the wallet. Miles nudged his plate toward me. You can have my toast if you want. I'm not hungry anymore. I shook my head. No, you keep it. We're gonna need energy. For what? For figuring out our next move, I said, wiping syrup from his chin. He nodded solemnly like we were about to go to war. And in a way we were. Because I wasn't just grieving a ruined trip. I was waking up to the truth. My own family had made my son feel unwanted, like he didn't matter. And I couldn't forgive that. That night, after I put Miles to bed in our tiny 2-star hotel room across from the station, I sat on the edge of the bed with my laptop open and my bank accounts pulled up. The The lodge they were staying at cost nearly $1,000 a night. I paid for 3 rooms, 5 nights, a ski excursion, and a shuttle package. All booked through my business travel card, a perk from the tech consultancy firm I inherited from Amelia. They were sleeping in comfort on my dime. My kid was curled up on a lumpy twin mattress hugging a stuffed dinosaur. And that's when something inside me finally snapped. I started canceling. One by one, I removed my card from every automatic payment. Neil's utilities? Gone. Rhonda's cable and phone bill? Gone. The recurring tuition payment for Rhonda's daughter? Gone. I used to pay everything quietly because it was easier that way. No arguments. No drama. Just me carrying the weight so no one else had to. Not anymore. It felt like exhaling after years of holding my breath. Neil texted me around 10 that night, like nothing happened. Neil, you good? Looked like the train ran early. Sucks. Hope you and Miles are okay. No apology. No admission. Just a fake shoulder shrug sent from a mountain lodge I booked. I didn't reply. The next morning, I woke up to 3 more texts from Neil and a passive-aggressive check-in from Rhonda. Rhonda, hey hon, hope you're not upset. It all happened really fast. We'll take lots of pictures for you and Miles. I deleted it. No response. Instead, I booked 2 tickets to the Arizona Science Adventure Park, one of Miles' favorite places. There was an interactive space exhibit, a new robotics hall, and most importantly, a cotton candy stand shaped like a spaceship. I told Miles over pancakes at a diner near the hotel. His eyes lit up like it was Christmas morning. Just us, I said. He grinned. I like that better. We spent the whole day learning about satellites, pretending we were astronauts, and laughing when he accidentally dumped blue cotton candy all over my shoes. He didn't even mention the train. Not once. On the ride back to the hotel, he rested his head on my shoulder and mumbled, "This was better anyway." I kissed the top of his head. Yeah, it really was. When I checked my phone that night, there were more texts from Neil. One of them just said, "You're seriously overreacting." I almost laughed. Letting your sister's kid get abandoned at a train station? That's not a mistake. That's a decision. And now I'd made one of my own. I wasn't their safety net anymore. I wasn't their free ride. From now on, it was me and Miles. No lies. No manipulation. Just us. By Monday morning, my phone was on fire. 10 missed calls from Rhonda. 8 from Neil. 4 from an unknown number I recognized as the billing office for my niece's school. They were fast, I'll give them that. I didn't pick up any of them. Instead, I turned my phone on silent and took Miles to the science park again. We hadn't done 2 full days in a row like this since before Amelia got sick. He was beaming before we even made it past the gift shop. While he played with the space rover simulation, I sat on a bench and opened my email. There it was, a long, scolding message from Rhonda. "I don't understand what's going on, Fiona. I logged into Lily's school portal and the payment was declined. Did your card expire or something? Also, we didn't get the electric bill payment this month. Please clarify. I'm getting notices now. This is extremely stressful." "No, I'm sorry. No, we messed up. Just bills and demands. Like always." Then came Neil's message. "Okay, what's the deal? You're really doing this over a stupid mix-up? You're being way too emotional. It was a train, Fiona. You could have just taken the next one." I could feel my pulse in my jaw. They were angry, not sorry. Not even a little bit. I opened my camera roll and found the picture I'd taken the day before, Miles in the rocket simulator, hands in the air, eyes lit up. It was the first time I'd seen him look that free in months. Maybe years. That picture reminded me why I was done explaining myself to people who never saw me until they needed something. I scrolled through the lodge's social media page later that night. Out of curiosity, Rhonda had posted a group shot in front of the fireplace, all bundled in matching flannel pajamas, hot chocolate mugs in hand, captioned, "Family time is everything." Except, of course, their family didn't include me or Miles. And for once, I didn't feel hurt. I felt clarity. They'd made their choice. They just never thought I'd stop choosing them. Back at the hotel, Miles was curled up in bed, half asleep with his arm flung over Toby the dinosaur. I watched him breathe for a long minute and thought about Amelia. She'd always told me you can't control how people treat you, but you can control who gets a second chance. I used to believe second chances were unlimited. Now I knew better. There were no more chances. Not for Neil. Not for Rhonda. Not for anyone who made my kid feel like he didn't belong. I tucked the blanket tighter around Miles and turned out the light. Let them scream. Let them panic. Let the bills pile up. Me and my son? We were finally free. By Thursday, the tone had changed. The calls didn't stop. They just got uglier. First came Rhonda's voicemails. The fake sweetness was gone. "Fiona, I need an answer now. Lily's school is threatening to drop her from her classes. You can't just walk away from your responsibilities. You made commitments." Then Neil's voice thick with anger. "This is financial abuse, Fiona. You're punishing my daughter because you're pissed at me? You're better than that. Be an adult. Be an adult." "Right," says the man who left his nephew crying at a train station and checked into a lodge like nothing happened. I didn't respond to either of them. Instead, I took Miles out for dinner at a taco place where they let him pick the music from the jukebox. He chose old Taylor Swift songs and told our waitress all about the planetarium exhibit. He didn't ask about Neil or Rhonda. I could see he was starting to understand. On the walk back to the hotel, I checked my phone. 3 new texts from Rhonda. The last one was longer than usual. I've spoken with the school directly. We're going to need a full payment by Friday or Lily's out. This is going to ruin her entire year. I hope you can live with that. And there it was, the shift from guilt to blame to weaponized empathy. I didn't answer. I just deleted the thread and kept walking. That night, my phone buzzed again. Neil, you're breaking this family apart. All because you're mad about a train. Grow up, Fiona. We needed that vacation. You don't know what kind of stress we've been under. Maybe if you weren't so obsessed with control, this wouldn't have happened. That was his pitch, his angle. They needed that vacation. And I ruined it by expecting not to be lied to. I stared at the message until my eyes blurred. Then I closed the app and put the phone face down. Miles was asleep again, sprawled sideways across both beds like he owned the whole room. He snored lightly through his nose, the exact same way Amelia used to when she was worn out. I sat on the edge of the other bed and just watched him for a while. This is what matters, I thought. Not the bills, not the expectations, not the tantrums disguised as voicemails. The next morning, I finally replied to Neil. Just one line. You used me. It's over. He didn't reply. Rhonda did. Fiona, be reasonable. Don't throw everything away over this. Family isn't perfect. And for once I agreed with her. Family wasn't perfect, but it was supposed to be safe. It was supposed to be kind. It wasn't supposed to leave a 6-year-old standing at a train station wondering if he was unwanted. I blocked them both after that. Not out of rage. Out of peace. They'd called me emotional, dramatic, overreacting. But for the first time in years, I wasn't any of those things. I was clear. And I was done. That night, after Miles fell asleep with a comic book open on his chest, I sat by the hotel window and let the past catch up with me. I hadn't thought about that hospital room in a while. The way it smelled like bleach and lavender hand lotion. The beep of the machines. The impossible quiet after visiting hours ended. Amelia had been hooked up to more wires than I could count, her skin pale and paper thin. I was there when the doctor whispered the words no one wants to hear. It's time to call the family. And I had. I called Neil. I called Rhonda. I even called my parents. Only Rhonda came. She sat with me for exactly 20 minutes, gave me a pitying hug, and left with some excuse about getting ahead on bills. I stayed until the end, alone, watching Amelia slip away in a room that felt like a universe closing. After the funeral, they surrounded me again, but not with comfort, with invoices. Can you help with rent this month? Rhonda's car broke down. The school wants tuition up front now. They wrapped it in sympathy, sure. Said things like, Amelia would want you to keep going, or you're strong, Fiona. We're lucky to have you. But all I ever heard was, you're useful, Fiona. So be useful. And back then, I let them. I thought if I kept giving, I'd stay connected to something, family, history, maybe even Amelia in some strange way. I told myself that being needed was the same thing as being loved. But sitting in that hotel room, watching my son twitch in his sleep as he dreamed of rocket ships, I realized I'd been lying to myself for years. I remembered the last thing Amelia whispered to me before she passed. Be strong, Fee. For him. But also for you. At the time I nodded. I thought she meant strong like keep it all together. Keep the house running. Keep the bills paid. Keep being the backbone everyone leaned on. Now I understood what she meant. She meant, stop letting people carve you hollow. Stop bleeding out for people who never bring you bandages. I picked up my phone again. Scrolled to the voicemail folder. Rhonda's last message was still there, half frantic, half demanding. I deleted it. Then I went into my notes app and wrote something simple. I do not owe anyone who treats me like an afterthought. I sat with those words for a long time. Read them over and over. Then I closed the phone, turned out the light, and crawled into bed next to Miles. For the first time in years, I didn't fall asleep with a to-do list buzzing in my head. There were no check-ins to send, no wires to transfer, no guilt to carry. There was just silence. And in that silence, I finally found my strength. We were back home by Sunday afternoon. The trip wasn't what I planned, it was better. But I could feel something brewing the second we stepped off the elevator and into our apartment hallway. There was a shadow at my door. Neil and Rhonda. They turned at the same time like they practiced. Rhonda had a folder in one hand and Neil was pacing, arms crossed, jaw tight. Finally, he muttered. I didn't slow down, just reached into my bag for my keys. Fiona, Rhonda said, stepping forward. We need to talk. No, I said, brushing past her. You need something. Can we please come in? Neil asked. We're not here to fight. I unlocked the door, pushed it open, and looked back. Then say what you came to say. Right here. Miles ducked past them, clutching Toby and heading straight for the couch. He didn't even look at them. Rhonda glanced at him, then turned back to me. Lily's enrollment was dropped. I had to pull her out yesterday. I nodded slowly. That's awful. And we're behind on rent, Neil added. I mean seriously behind. You could have just said something before you cut everything off. I did, I said. You just didn't listen. Neil's face twisted. Come on, Fiona. You're seriously going to let us drown over a vacation misunderstanding? It wasn't a misunderstanding, I snapped. You lied. Both of you. You knew the train time. You took my money. You left me and my son standing on the platform. Rhonda's voice turned shrill. It wasn't personal. We were under a lot of pressure. Personal is watching your nephew's face fall apart when he realizes his own family ditched him, I said. You think that's pressure? They didn't answer. Just looked at me like I was ruining the scene they thought they were directing. We're family, Neil finally said. Desperate now. You don't turn your back on family. That word family used to sting. Used to guilt me into writing checks and swallowing pride. Now it sounded empty. I didn't turn my back, I said calmly. I turned off the faucet. Neil stepped closer, lowering his voice. You're being cold. I'm your brother. And for years, I said, you've been treating me like a credit card with a heartbeat. Rhonda's hands clenched the folder. We were counting on you. That's your problem, I said. You keep mistaking kindness for obligation. Neil scoffed. So that's it? You're done. I opened the door wider, gestured inside. You see that kid on the couch? They both looked. That's who I answered to now. Not you. Not some fake loyalty wrapped in guilt. For a moment, no one moved. Then I said, if you ever make him feel unwanted again, don't bother showing up here at all. They didn't speak. They just turned and walked down the hallway, slower than they came. I shut the door, locked it, and just like that, years of manipulation ended with a click. The apartment was quiet, the kind of quiet that used to feel heavy, lonely. But not that night. Miles was asleep on the couch, snuggled into a blanket, Toby tucked under his chin like a bodyguard. He'd conked out halfway through a movie, still clutching the popcorn bowl like a badge of honor. I picked up my phone from the counter, the screen lighting up with the usual chaos. Rhonda, the landlord's threatening eviction. Do you really want that on your conscience? Neil, you proved your point. Now fix it. Unknown number. Aunt Rhonda said you owe her. You can't just walk away. This is your family. I scrolled through them without feeling much of anything. No rage, no hurt, just done. I tapped select all and deleted every message. Then I opened the browser and searched for something new. A small beachside rental popped up, 2 bedrooms, walking distance to the shore, and dog-friendly. It had a porch with a hammock and one of those old-school ice cream shops nearby with hand-painted signs. I booked it for the weekend. Just me and Miles. Just peace. I glanced at him on the couch, mouth slightly open, hair sticking up in every direction. His face was relaxed in a way I hadn't seen in weeks. No tension, no confusion, no questions about who wanted him and who didn't. That mattered more than anything. I walked into the kitchen, poured myself a glass of water, and leaned against the counter. I used to think being needed was the same as being loved. Now I knew better. Love wasn't guilt. It wasn't obligation. It sure as hell wasn't a text demanding money while pretending everything was fine. Love looked like a sleepy 6-year-old who trusted you to keep him safe, who never had to wonder if he was second place. The next morning, I woke up to sunlight pouring through the windows and a notification on my phone. Booking confirmed. 4 nights in Oceanside, California. I smiled. For the first time in a long time, my plans were just for us. No guilt, no strings, no lies, just rest, just joy, just me and my son exactly where we belonged. The airport smelled like overpriced coffee and old carpet, but even that couldn't dampen the mood. Miles tugged on my arm, eyes wide as we passed the glass wall looking out onto the runway. Are we flying over the ocean? Yep, I said, adjusting the strap on my carry-on. And when we land, you can run straight onto the sand if you want. He grinned so hard his cheeks puffed out. I'm gonna build a sand city. Better pack a mayor, I joked. Just ahead of us, Anna was checking her boarding pass. She'd only been with us a few weeks, but it felt like longer. She wasn't just a tutor. She was a calm presence in a storm we were finally moving past. She looked up and smiled at Miles. Got your science kit in your backpack? He nodded proudly. And extra batteries this time. Anna winked at me. He's prepared. Hiring her was one of the best decisions I'd made in years. After I restructured the company, moved operations remote, offloaded half our old contracts, I finally had room to breathe, room to be a mother first, a person again. We found our seats at the gate. I let Miles climb into my lap, even though he was getting a little too big for it. Mom? Yeah. He looked up at me, serious now. Do you think we're a team? I smiled. Of course we are. The best kind. He leaned his head against my chest. I didn't feel like it before. Not when we got left. I held him tighter. That wasn't your fault. And it wasn't ours either. Some people don't know how to treat family. He was quiet for a minute, then nodded. But we do. We sat like that until boarding was called. On the plane, I looked out the window as the ground fell away, shrinking all the noise and guilt and tension into something small and far behind. Miles held Anna's hand as she helped him buckle in. He looked at me and smiled like everything was finally okay. And it was. No more bills to chase. No more lies to catch. No more wondering if love had to come with conditions. Just this. Sunlight on a wing, a sleeping kid with sandcastle dreams, and the steady hum of forward motion. As the clouds rolled beneath us, I let myself close my eyes. For the first time in years, we were heading somewhere that wasn't survival. We were flying toward peace.